Of the Fire Police Committee to order. Roll call, please.
All right, Bill Jenks.
Here.
Fred Mogul.
Here.
Ron Stanko.
Here.
Fred Levin will be absent, and I believe Steve Burnham will be absent.
Okay, in order to have a quorum, I'll ask for our policies and regulations. I'll ask Janet to be a voting member at this meeting. Okay. Next is public comments. Do we have any public comments? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Gregory Protoyarsky, 41 Cardinal Road, Pakistan. I was not able to display videos and photos prepared.
Hold on a second. I don't know why it's not.
What is the subject of your?
My subject is the same as I was attempting to talk about at the Infrastructure Committee.
Did you receive my email, sir?
Yes, I have a right to say something now. I lost 31 seconds. I'm still not able to display it. Okay, I will just display it to you. For 4 years, Mr. Cullen is destroying the land around our properties. He also destroyed being not allowed to do it. Now, with this new regulation, when he is allowed to roam right away in our borough, he will destroy my land. It is a harassment. I will be able to call the police because he is destroying my property. Now, with the new regulations, only when he and his dogs are crossing the right of way and coming to my private land, I will be able to really call the police. I'm sure he will do it. In our borough, there are at least 8 different widths of right of way, starting with 5 feet, then 8 feet, then 10 feet, 11 feet, 12 feet, 13 feet, 15 feet, and I believe 20 feet. So this will be a task that we are creating for the police now. Because my neighbor will not stop at anything. He is determined to make my life miserable. He wrote to me that this is because I am not helping him to move Mr. Jadek's truck, which I cannot do. And that's why I have a hard life. So this will happen. Creating this ordinance, which the borough is doing for nothing, just to protect, just to retaliate for removing no parking zone that I have to remove, is a nonsense. It's taking our resources and is putting a burden on our police force. I already called many times the police for violations of no parking zone, and I called the police for his putting his dogs on my property and leaving feces there, picking them up, dropping back, and I can tell you this will continue. I am kindly asking you to think about it and probably to discuss this with the police force, which is now here and which is having already experience with this individual. You are giving him a weapon. Yes, I have 2 more minutes. I can tell you, you wrote me a personal letter, Mr. Jenkins, telling me about 35 years of your volunteer experience and 7 years of your involvement into official business of the borough. I see you 7 years of your official business with the borough. I'm not happy with it. You are attacking my family with the help of this guy, or you are taking because he directs you. Don't know who is the first here, but I would like you to consider consider saving resources of the borough, not paying for many more ordinances, of advertising of those ordinances, of putting no parking zones, of removing them. Just leave it as it is. Just follow the borough law. And I would like to hear, anyhow, from the police what they think about it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Just a slight rebuttal. I did receive a letter along with Ms. Baer on this subject from you. I responded It was not a personal letter, it was an official letter. And it stated in that the issue that you're discussing is before the infrastructure committee and not before fire and police. It is not a life safety issue, therefore it does not come before this committee. Your concerns were first addressed at infrastructure and therefore should be considered continuing there. Obviously you did not like my answer by saying that it is enforced by codes enforcement and not the police department. You further had voiced concerns about the police department being overtaxed, and I assured you that anytime you need their assistance that they will respond in kind and help you where necessary. You said that I needed to be concerned about the citizens of this borough and not just myself, or thereabouts, those words. And that's when I responded to you saying I have cared and volunteered for these citizens 35 plus years, and 7 of them also being as a councilman. So that is why I responded to that. The police department does not have to address this. It's not an issue for this meeting. Are there any other personal comments?
Personal or public?
Or public comments, I'm sorry.
I have public comments.
State your name and address.
Adrian J.D., 48 Cardinal Road, Wyomissing. Here's my clock. First of all, I want to start by an objection with the Sunshine Act, which does not take the clock. I see you over and over shushing under the table with the solicitor. This is a public meeting. Everywhere you go at other meetings and other municipalities, you can watch online the meetings of the Reading Council. And Mike Gombar does not shush under the table with nobody during the meeting. He's not your personal lawyer. He is paid by the borough on taxpayer money, and he's here to defend the borough and the citizens and the Sunshine Act. And none of you should be talking under the table with the council during meetings. That's the end of my Sunshine Act issue. Next, I'm here today to speak on an issue that has been festering in our community for far too long. A lack of police enforcement against harassment that has targeted immigrant residents, myself included. And yes, that is. And you have to stop, sir, having this disparaging attitude against him. You mocked him for saying destroying the land. You're visibly annoyed. It would help you to listen for a minute. Your attitude is a disgrace to this borough. How you treat people because they have an accent, because they don't master the language properly. It is a disgrace. This is not just a matter of public order, it's about the deliberate neglect and frankly encouragement of bigoted behavior in our borough. Let me take you back to August 2020 when John Cullen, a neighbor, was seen bringing his puppy cradled in his arms to urinate right in front of my driveway. Then he took the dog back home as if this was his routine, as if our properties are his personal waste station. This was not an isolated incident, but part of a pattern of harassment that we have endured for years. I know you don't give a damn about it. Later the same month, the situation escalated. Mr. Cullen was caught rubbing dog feces, yes, dog feces, into the ground in front of Mr. Krutuyarski's walkway, caught on video, directly in front of his front door. This was not an accident. This was a calculated act meant to harass and degrade. The police were called. What was done? Nothing. No action was taken despite the clear evidence of this vile behavior. Nor did they call craft codes, nor did anybody do anything about it. We have complained about this man on numerous occasions, but again, the response from the authority has been silence. No warnings, no fines, nothing. We're being targeting because we're immigrants. And the lack of enforcement by the police is a glaring example how this borough chooses to protect the feelings of those engaging in racist and bigoted behavior while ignoring the rights of those who are being harassed. It's an insult to every law-abiding citizen who expects to live in a community where the law applies equally to all. And now, with the proposed changing to the ordinance regarding animal defecation and urination, I must ask, how do you expect to enforce these new rules when you have failed to enforce the existing ones? The new amendments are completely unenforceable, and here's why. There is no clear demarcation between our private lots and the right-of-way or planting strip. This is public land that we're required to maintain as if it were private property. So where exactly is the line? How can you hold residents accountable for actions on land that has ambiguous ownership and responsibility? This ambiguity is not just a legal loophole, it's a deliberate choice by the borough to muddy the waters and make enforcement impossible. It is a shield for those who want to continue harassing their neighbors under the guise of ambiguity. The truth is, this borough is not interested in enforcing these rules because it would mean standing up to individuals like Mr. Cullen, who feel emboldened to target immigrants with impunity. The lack of action from police is not just a failure of enforcement. Lost me. It is an endorsement of this behavior. Remember that I had initiated. No, it's not. I had made the Sunshine Act comment before, and that is part of your 5 minutes. And I think the council should testify to that. I will be done in a second, but you don't pay attention anyway, so it doesn't matter to you.
You have 1 more minute.
Thank you. I'm here to tell you that this must stop, and your attitude towards us must stop. We demand equal protection under the law. We demand that the police do their job and take action against those who use their pets as tools for harassment. Craft Code is not police. Craft Code has no means to come and find out if an imaginary line has been crossed. Michelle has told Mr. Cortez that she thinks that Mr. Cullen has not crossed the line. How are we going to defend our land? Just because Michelle thinks it's all okay? We demand that the borough stop hiding behind unenforceable ordinances and start protecting all of its residents, regardless of where they came from. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to Western Berks Ambulance.
I have a copy of the report here. I don't know who it goes to.
We already have.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need me to read off anything specific from the report or?
Whenever anybody else would like to hear, they've all gotten a copy. So.
Oh, okay. Any questions on the report?
I know.
Pretty self-explanatory. You all received a copy of it.
Yeah, no, it's not
Did
connected.
anything seem unusual to you? Not that I'll say that.
No. Volumes
Okay,
remain the same.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to West Side Emergency Management.
Ready. Okay, just a few items here, nothing spectacular. We had a summer break for training, and the next 2 months will involve some of the new programs that the county has gotten for reporting incidents, like if there's damage to report and that sort of thing. They're into a whole new program there, and we will be getting that information at those training sessions. So there was an inquiry or a question about the after-action report after the tabletop railroad exercise, and we have not officially gotten it, but when I inquired about where it was, someone sent me a copy before we actually before they actually distributed it. So that's coming, and I'll be glad to, well, I'm gonna read it in detail to see what's going on there. I can just quickly tell you an executive summary is that most things people were happy with in terms of like what was going on, but we need to do more, well, do more things like it more often, which I agree with that. The agency's audit from Herbine is in the process of being completed, and we'll have that hopefully ready by agency meeting time there. I have taken, we had gotten a couple years ago from Spring Township Police, Bill Van Etten wrote a grant on an interoperable radio, which is capable of accepting and distributing information over any and all kinds of different radios and frequencies that we have available to us, and it is currently being updated to include Bluetooth and iPhone capabilities. This unit is something like, maybe they could have used something more like it at Butler Township out in Pennsylvania a few months ago. And I spoke to the guys who do this work, who are really very good with stuff and very cooperative and really very helpful. They said that they had gotten a call from Baltimore Inner Harbor about they were having some communication troubles there when they had the ship run into the pier, and that they had called them up to get one of these things from them also. And then I said, did you ever call the Secret Service and ask them if they could have one or get one? And they said, we've called several times and they turned us down. So I don't know if that meant they already had one or what there, but anyway, it's very useful, and I'm hoping to have that or use it for one of our sessions when we get together with the police and fire guys to see what radios they have, that we can make sure we all got the right connectors for this, I'll call it a gadget here, but it's pretty nice. Berks County has changed over from the Berks alert system where everybody signed up initially for, I mean, the public could sign up as well as internal groups, police, fire, emergency management types. They switched from where they were to Everbridge. Maybe some of you have heard that name before. It's one of those, you know, you call them or it's like a code red kind of thing where they can contact. And they're in the process of switching that over now. So anyone who is, even in the general public, who wants to get notices from the county with weather alerts or any other kind of emergency alerts that they would put out, that's where people have to go now to go sign up to get on that system, if that's what you want. And that's just started really, so we're looking at, I don't know, that's all right. I don't know how many people have already signed up for it. The general public has just gotten all signed up for the other one. Now they have to drop and start all over again. So just a word to everybody here who would like to go on the Berks County Emergency Services site, and there's a place to sign up. And that's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Tom?
Things have been pretty quiet, and so we'll leave it out.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Moving on to Fire Department, Chief Holmes.
Good afternoon, everybody. For the month of August, another busy month, year to date, or month to date, we've turned 124 incidents, given mutual aid 41 times. We've had 32 QRS calls with 11 patient contacts, and so far there's been 192 and a half hours of training completed this month. Out of our call volume for the month, 83 were in the borough, again 41 were mutual aid, and year to date we're up to 1,185 responses. The average turnout time is 1 minute and 49 seconds. and 5.9 personnel responding. Comparing where we are this year versus last year, we're down about 11.5%, down to 693 responses in the borough as a total. The year-to-date fire loss remained the same, and inspections that have been completed year-to-date were up to 518, which is approximately 58% of our borough commercial occupancies have been inspected for their annual inspection. There's been 41 fire activity types of inspections. That includes witnessing fire drills and following up on fire protection system deficiencies. And then 38 re-inspections for minor types of corrective actions that were observed during the initial annual inspection. Billable hours or billable totals around 40,150 since June 1st. Looking at training versus ISO, there's been 1,304.25 hours of training completed, and the staff are wrapping up the 5-week wellness program this week. They've also been out to tour the Wyomissing Junior Senior High School, and we're working on scheduling our annual fire prevention and education activities here towards the end of September through October and into November. And all three of the new probationary firefighters have their 1-month follow-up meeting with me scheduled for this week and next. That is the year-to-date and August report.
Chief, if I recall correctly, for years, the number of people responding has been in the 4.7 or 4.8 range, and it's significantly higher in this report.
Yes.
And double volunteers,
So that's accounting for us going to the 4-person staffing, plus we've had, when the 3 probationary firefighters came on in July, we had upstaffed because of them doing their first 2 weeks of orientation, as well as our fire police that are responding.
so that you would expect this number to be the new number
I would
on a
expect so.
consistent basis.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thanks.
Any other questions on the August report?
When's the ladder come
I'll get to that.
down? Oh,
Good question.
sorry.
So we'll be there.
Still ideas.
So in the August report, I talked about the inspections that have been completed year to date and how much billable amount has been. Looking at that to try and get a number here towards the end of the year to see if it is a sustainable venture to look at some sort of a full-time position to handle the majority of the inspection work, where myself and the deputy chief and the on-duty staff can pick up and help to boost that so we can get as close to 100% as possible on an annual basis. Right now it's been primarily since June 1st, myself and our one captain who's on light duty completing these inspections with some assistance from craft as well. So I just wanted to put that out there that I am trying to formulate some sort of research to present a position of some sort to take on the lead role in the inspection and all that stuff.
So I'd like to ask you a couple questions on
Yes,
that
sir.
subject. With regard to the personnel, would
Yes.
that person be a firefighter?
It could go either way.
Okay.
It could go as a position under the CBA, or it could go outside.
Okay, my second question is, has there been an analysis done? I know in the past we talked about the number of facilities that need to be inspected, and that number's around 1,000, something like that.
Around,
Is that about right?
yes.
Has there been any analysis done as to how much revenue is generated by each inspection and what it would look like over an annual period?
Not fully, but we can work on that.
Because it would seem as though if you, and there's also the question of the commercial inspection of new properties, which falls into somebody's bailiwick at the moment. But that, if that were the same person that's in the fire department now, that would give us a head start as to what's being built and whether that meets the standards of the fire service.
Correct. Currently, that is being shared between myself and Kraft to look at the new occupancies, and we get McCarthy Engineering in for the zoning side of it to do the CO. We're trying to pair all of that together to do it at one visit as opposed to 3 separate visits.
So if the fire inspections and the commercial inspections were done, that would reduce the amount of money we're paying Kraft and could possibly pay for itself within the borough if you do your numbers and you come out right.
It could, and it's going to be dependent on if that position falls within the CBA versus outside of the collective bargaining unit. With the responsibilities of being the fire code official and doing investigations for fires, we put that outside because of that authority.
All right, well, good luck. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the questions. Does anybody else have any other questions on that topic? Okay, if not, I'll give you an apparatus update. Currently, we're still using the 2009 KME engine. It's responding as the frontline piece because the ladder is out of service. The expectation with the ladder, we're waiting on the new fly section to be shipped in from Pierce Manufacturing. Once it gets to Glick down in Lancaster County, they'll call us. We can take it back down to have them replace that portion and recertify the area. They were projecting about a 4 to 6 week process. We're about 3 weeks into that now. And the ladder has since gone out to get some other services done. The new engine is currently in the fabrication shop down at Glick, working on some of the updates that we have proposed and approved in our council meeting to purchase that item. We're going back down in September here to finish up the equipment mounting and the graphics for that. Moving forward here into letter D, the professional development, looking to start some reinforcement of professional development with some planning, coming up with an individual planning process for each of my staff members so that they have a roadmap to better themselves of what needs to be accomplished to move up when opportunities exist. It's an ongoing process. It will include annual performance evaluations just to see where they are and see how we can continue to coach and mentor each staff member to get them to their best to provide for the community here. I am looking at for 2025 to incorporate some certified trainings for the department as a whole, including an annual structural burn session where we would have outside people provide the training to us in accordance with the national standards and give us feedback on how we can become better, as opposed to how it has been done here in the past of showing up and as long as you showed up being qualified. Also looking at bringing in-house the driver operator for the aerial and pumper certification course. It's a lot easier once everybody has their CDLs to complete that class here in-house, and with having 12 full-time staff, we meet the minimum required 10 students to have the class in-house. We also do run rapid intervention to a couple different municipalities, looking to make sure that all of the staff are trained appropriately to the awareness and operations level for that. Update on our record management system, the first 2 record management system, still a work in progress. We're looking to finally go live here with the reporting side of it early September. We're also investigating a policy and training management platform similar to your Police One Academy that the police department uses. We have a Fire Rescue One Academy. It's a mechanism for maintaining some accountability on policies and procedures as they're issued, and making sure that staff are reviewing those on an annual basis, as well as the training side can supplement our current work that we're doing with our training committee. And that's all I have today.
Chief, do you want to just let everyone know exactly what RIT stands for and what their purpose is?
So RIT is the Rapid Intervention Team. It's the rescuers for firefighters who would become injured or trapped at a fire incident. They're the personnel that are on scene that are going to run into the building using whatever tools and mechanisms they have to retrieve that firefighter and bring them out to safety. So it's essentially our safety team for when we're operating.
And that's so you're not taking away from the people who are actually working on extinguishing the fire, okay, the fire suppression team. This is a separate team that's outside and gets called in if needed. And I believe the city used them on a fire they had this weekend where a firefighter went through the porch floor. It's responsibility of RIT team to go in and get that guy out.
That is correct.
So it's a pretty advanced program. Any other comments for the fire chief?
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Phillips.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just have a couple of things here today. First, I have on the agenda is an acquisition of a new surveillance vehicle. We currently have one vehicle within the department that's primarily for surveillance. It's not a typical police vehicle. It's not going to give it away exactly what it is, but it's a 2002 with 164,000 miles on it. We obtained it several years ago, and we had the opportunity that the district attorney's office is going to be giving us a new vehicle. So my intent was that I was just going to switch it out, the one that we have, put on municipal bid, get rid of it, and take over the new one. That has 100,000 miles on it, but apparently the county's put it through their maintenance shop and has given it to us in really good shape. What I'm coming to you with is last week the Sergeant Quinter, who's in charge of the detectives, asked if we could maintain both vehicles. Since there are four, they can double up, and when they're out doing surveillance, then they could have two vehicles that are not typical police vehicles. I told them, that may increase our insurance and things like that. There's not a cost for the vehicles. There's not a lot of maintenance because they're not being driven as much as the other vehicles. So I had insurance and inspection. Now insurance is kind of a borough budget. It doesn't come out of a line of the police, but maintenance-wise for the current car, I mean, we get it inspected every year, an oil change, whether it needs it or not, and that's really all we put into it. So we're not putting a lot of money into these vehicles. But because it would be an extra vehicle, I'm bringing it to the committee to ask if you would be okay if we maintained a second surveillance vehicle.
Makes sense.
If you're
I would
using,
think insurance has got to be minimal.
I don't think
You know,
so.
if you're using this for surveillance purposes, won't you need communications equipment?
They have it.
Computers?
No, we don't put, we don't want this to look like, there's no lights, sirens, computers, anything in it. We don't want it to look like a police vehicle.
So if someone's on a stakeout with an undercover vehicle, how does it communicate?
We have ambulance.
Oh, all right, thank you.
So they use that ambulance. So it wouldn't have lights. I mean, it's in our policies, those vehicles aren't to be used to stop vehicles or anything like that. They have to call in marked units, things like that. They're strictly to be out there to sit in places and not look like a cop.
Makes sense. Just with that first.
Any other questions? Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move it on to council.
I also wanted to bring to the committee's attention, we're bringing back the Citizens Police Academy. It went away with COVID, and with West Reading's chief situation seems to be settled now. We've gotten on board to do the academy again. So we'll be starting this year. We have it on our social media. West Reading has it on theirs. West Reading and Spring has it on their sign as well out in front of their police department. We've gotten, I think, 3 applications in-house for Wyomissing. I'm not sure where West Reading and Spring are sitting, but it is supposed to be scheduled for September 17th through November 4th. I have been asked to discuss a topic with research in October, which is the council night, so I may be asking the lieutenant to come to council meeting that night, so I can go to the academy and talk to the citizens that night. So if anybody sees anything, if anybody asks you about it, they can get an application on our website. It's there. I have it pinned to the top, so it's very easy for people to find. They can download it and drop it off. Sergeant Schaefer is our representative for the department with the academy. Spring and West Reading also had an officer that were kind of running it, so the chiefs are kind of stepping back and letting the people do it, so. If you hear anything, or you can put it out to people, if they want to come out, they can come out and go through the academy again. It's always been something that we got a lot of positive feedback for. I've gotten several requests over the last year about us bringing it back, so I went to the other two chiefs and they agreed they'd like to bring it back too, so we are.
Great.
I think this year, I already told Sergeant Schaefer that because when it was held in Wyomissing, we did it at the fire company, because we don't have a training room to do that. I may be asking Colleen over at the library to let us do it over there in the evening, so when it would be here.
Do you have proposed dates?
It's on the website, but it's every Tuesday from September 17th through November 4th.
I would get-
One or two that we missed, but yeah.
I would get with Colleen as soon as possible.
Yeah, I gotta find out from Sergeant Schaefer what days are supposed to be. I told him to let me know what days would be Wyomissing, and I would contact Colleen for him to try to set those days up for that.
Good.
And the final thing is we have the discussion about the illegal motorcycles and ATV ordinances. I sat in on one of their hearings last week with the city. It was all done by Zoom to get an idea of how theirs operates. It went very smoothly. I asked some questions after the fact. I asked how many meetings they have a year, and they typically do 2, but it's based upon how many motorcycles they get. They're sitting in storage in the tow company. But right now it's about 2. Their license and appeal board is the one that hears it. And there's no rhyme or reason. That's the board that they chose to hear it. But that board has some civilians on it as well. So I know I talked to our solicitor in their office about coming up with this ordinance and finishing it, finalizing it. But this committee would be the one that would hear any such hearings that we would have, should we get any of these motorcycles or ATVs. So it's still progress.
Yeah, we have a draft in our office, but we're still working on it. We're not ready to send it over here.
Right.
We'll get it over to you, chief, and then from there we can bring it to the committee.
Okay. So I just wanted the committee to know there's progress still moving with that. And that's all I had. If anybody has anything, I'm glad to answer your questions.
Any questions for the chief? Thank you very much, sir. Does anybody have anything else? We don't have anything for executive session.
I could give you, this committee, an update on something that we talked about.
That would probably be a good idea.
If you'd like.
Yes. Okay, so at this time, we will adjourn into executive session to discuss employee matters.
There's no action to be taken.
No action will be taken.